Are you a fan of TV shows like The Walking Dead? If so, I'm sure you've pondered this question before. What if we had a zombie outbreak? Well, it's not just you on your couch questioning this. In fact, top US government officials in the Pentagon have also thought about this. And that's why the United States Department of Defense made something known as CONOP 8888 in 2011. I'm Charlie, and today we're going to look at the US government's secret plan for a zombie apocalypse. But before we get infected, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too? On the 30th of April 2011, the US Department of Defense released a CONOP. A Strategic Command CONOP is a concept operation. This is basically where the military think of events which could happen and prepare for them. These are used in real-life training sessions for the US military, and of course are enacted in real life if these events actually ever take place. But this concept operation, known as CONOP 8888, is like no other. That's because it's known as Counter-Zombie Dominance. This is a real-life white paper you can download which describes a plan for defending against zombies. The document depicts various scenarios of potential zombie attacks, and also provides military training and planning. Inside the document, zombies are described as horribly dangerous to all human life. They say zombie infections have the potential to seriously undermine national security and economic activities. And it says that having a population composed of zombies is a big risk to the USA and its allies. You may think this is some kind of joke, but in the report it actually says this plan is not designed as a joke. Planners from the USS TRATCOM in Omaha, Nebraska planned this all out. This organization employs personnel from all branches of the military and national defense services. This zombie plan was made to be secret, and it was for 3 years until a report by Foreign Policy made it public in 2014. Well, it's comprised of 5 phases. Well, it's comprised of 6 phases. Phase 0 is shape. This phase is how things are. Basically, what it means is the US military needs to begin training against zombies. In phase 0, no zombie outbreak has happened yet. And basically, it's the world we live in right now, so technically we are in phase 0 as we speak. But now let's move into phase 1, known as DETER. This is when the zombie outbreak begins. The report says that unless these zombies are controlled in some way by a nation state, they cannot be reasoned with. And because of this, the US military needs to get ready to defend itself from zombies. Phase 2 is known as Seize the Initiative. This is when things really start to kick off. The report says at phase 2, all military units need to be able to deploy within 35 days. Troops will then begin to head out to the infected areas and provide security and aid. They will also quarantine the area to make sure nothing goes in or out. Anyone who's been infected and turned into a zombie will be contained or maybe taken out. And if anyone is injured but hasn't been turned into a zombie, they'll be given medical aid. And if one exists, an antidote to make sure they don't become a zombie. Next moves on to phase 3, dominate. This phase sounds kind of scary, and that's because it is. The report says they would need to control zombies through superior firepower. This basically means blasting the zombies to bits with all the weaponry the USA has. This includes any firearms, tanks, aircrafts, or explosives if needed. The US military would also need to build shelter that would last up to 40 days if the worst case scenario happened. Hopefully during phase 3 all zombies would be taken out, or at least they would be contained in an area so no one else can get infected. Then would come phase 4, known as STABLIZE. STABLIZE involves repeating steps 2 and 3 until everywhere is rendered safe. They would need to search for and destroy all remaining threats, meaning all zombies still living. Apparently, they would do this by deploying counter-zombie teams. These would be elite teams of soldiers to weed out pockets of zombies. CONOP 8888 says zombie resistance pockets would spur all over the country. This is where small factions of zombies would congregate together and try and gang up against the army. For phase 4 to be complete, all of these pockets of zombies would need to be taken out. Then they would move on to phase 5, restore civil authority. During this phase, the zombie threat is gone, but this does not mean the damage hasn't been very widespread. The entire country and maybe even the world will be a very different place. It may be totally destroyed and the US military would have to restore civil authority. This means they would end mob rule going on, and they would make sure a stable government is in place in the USA and around the world. Phase 5, the final phase, would very much be about rebuilding the world. And there we go, that's CONOP 8888 broken down phase by phase. So it's basically for US and international law to regulate military operations as far as human and animal life goes. Under this operation, there would be no restriction on hostile actions against pathogenic life forms. This includes zombies and robot entities. So maybe if AI robots take over the world, CONOP 8888 will come into play. The report also says these operations will not just be domestic. In fact, the report details how the entire world would need to respond to a zombie outbreak. And it also describes how the USA would communicate and cooperate with its foreign allies and enemies. But where exactly are these zombies coming from? Well, the report actually does break this down. One example of zombies they say are pathogenic zombies. These are basically humans who turn into zombies via a virus. This is sort of what you see in movies and TV shows like The Walking Dead. They also detail robot-style zombies. This is kind of like all of the AI robot Terminator stuff we hear about in the news. Seeing as AI is growing more and more powerful, maybe this will become reality. And they also mention radiation zombies. This is where zombified life is spread via radiation. Maybe this could ever happen if there was ever a nuclear explosion or a nuclear plant blast. They even talk about evil magic zombies brought out from occult experimentation. Also space zombies created by aliens. Also weaponized zombies created by the USA's enemies. And even vegetarian zombies, similar to the game Plants vs. Zombies. But the report mainly talks about pathogenic zombies which are spread through a virus. Right now, the government does not have an official stance on whether zombies can be a possibility or not. But CONOP 8888 does make a mention of chicken zombies. Right now, these are the only kind of zombies which have scientifically been proven to exist. In 2006, zombie chickens were seen crawling out of piles of compost in California, USA. These were chickens who had passed away but had come back to life thanks to a nearby power plant. But does the government know something we don't? If not, why would the Pentagon spend all the money and time creating CONOP 8888? Well, they say it's simply for preparatory and training purposes. But of course, if we ever did have a zombie outbreak, this report would become reality and come into play. So now you can get prepared yourself and know how the government would respond if a zombie outbreak ever took place. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Vote in the poll in the top right corner. Do you think there'll ever be a zombie apocalypse in real life? If you want some more amazing videos, why not check out my second channel? There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.